Coming to you live from a little grass shack in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It's the Junior Kekuewa Jr. Show, starring Junior Kekuewa Jr.
I am so bored.
Join Junior along with the Wayne Borje Band as he makes any kind from Hawaii.
Not really, this guy's irritating.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Junior Kekuewa Jr.
How's that going? How you, Hawaiians? Hawaiians, good morning, good noon, good evening, good afternoon. Wherever you are on the planet, we just want to say how's it, and good morning. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Junior Kekuewa Jr. And today on the podcast, we're gonna discuss the law of attraction. Okay, so this is a law of attraction podcast. Okay, so mindset podcast. Okay, this is all of the above. Okay, but we're gonna do some thinking today. Right, we're gonna do some deep thinking today, and I'm gonna show you how to manifest the life of your dreams because it works for me. It has worked for me for years and years and years. And once I applied the formula, see, knowledge is not power. The application of knowledge is power. Okay, but first, the attitude of gratitude. Hey, how's it? Hey, we want to say thank you to all of you that are tuning in all across the planet. Okay, no stats today. We're not gonna go there, but we have a couple of new countries, and we'd like to say that wherever you are, thank you so much for being here. Okay, because this is for you, this podcast. All right, now let's get to it. How do you manifest the life of your dreams? Well, you know, the first thing that I gotta tell you, all right, is you have to put your heart and soul in it. Okay, you have to be in it to win it. That's what they say, right? In it to win it. What does that mean? Well, that means you got to go all in. Okay, you block out everybody. Okay, when I left home. This is how and there's people from home, Frankie, the boys down at the shop. Okay, we wanna say how's it to you guys. Okay, so the boys back home listen. Okay, so Frankie listens. Frankie Fernandez. I grew up with Frankie, incredible guy. And a good friend, and still, you know, I saw Frankie a couple years ago, and but anyway, want to say aloha to them and the Raposo brothers, the Raposo family. These guys have like dynasties over there, like generations, and they all live in the same area, and like it's awesome. Anyway, how's it to you guys? And thank you for tuning in to the podcast. So anyway, when I was young, right? When I left the island, so I left this island, I come from this small island called Kauai, okay? And I left the island, and the island, you know, cause like I got fed up with the island, not the island itself. I just got fed up with the way things were going, right? Because there were certain adults that took it upon themselves to like rule over my life, right? And I'm not necessarily talking about my parents either, but there were these people, okay? And we're not going to name names, and we're not going to go there, okay? Because this is a positive podcast, okay? But there was a lot of negative stuff going on, right? So when I couldn't take it anymore, I graduated from high school, right? And then just a couple months later, like I couldn't take it anymore, right? And this whole thing was just like getting on my nerves and everything, right? And now remember, if you go back to the first podcast episode, okay, you get my story, okay? Now, in my story, there's a section, I think it's the second podcast or something, but in my story, right, the podcast is called They Drugged Me. Okay, now, if you go and listen to that, you'll hear the story about how I was intentionally drugged, like they tried to get rid of me, okay? Like, I don't think they tried to kill me kind of thing. They just wanted to make me a vegetable. You know that? that old, it's an old expression, you know, make you a vegetable. But that's what they sought to do. You know, and they put all these drugs in this marijuana joint. They gave it to me. And they go, here, you can try this, you know. But it's all detailed in that podcast. So I'm not going to go over it, but check it out. Go listen to that podcast. It's called They Drugged Me. Okay, so anyway, you know, and these things kept happening. These things kept, you know, like rearing their ugly heads right in my life, right? So at one point, I just I just told my mom, I said, put me on the plane. I am not coming home till I'm a star. And those were my words. Those were my exact words. And now my mom, right? So my mom has lived with that for like her whole life, right? Ever since she had me, she had this kid with this imagination, and the response was always like, right? Because I had this, vivid imagination. Now, I was forced into this vivid imagination, okay? Because in my world, right? My physical world was so painful. My physical world was so abusive and so, I want to say, intensely, filled with bullying, with physical abuse, with what one member in the, so there's this family, right? And I was always, sent to them, for babysitting, right? Those are my babysitters, right? Now, their nephew comes up to me one day. Then this is like after I start making a name for myself and I'm popular and I'm on the radio and television, I'm doing all this stuff, right? And he comes up to me in the parking lot. I was doing an event for somebody. He comes up in the parking lot and he goes, I really want to apologize for my family. And I'm like, what? Like I wasn't thinking anything, right? And I mean, all was forgiven. And you know when it was forgiven? And this is when you're going to experience this too. If your journey is about, arriving, right? Like somewhere, I don't know, whatever your popularity level, fame level, whatever, that kind of stuff. If that's what your journey is about, okay, the moment you get what you want, all is forgiven. Okay. So when you get yours and you realize that everything's happening for you and whatever, okay, so that's not really how it happened for me. It's kind of, sort of. But at that point, right, you have to realize that, okay, God gave me this. It's time to forgive. You cannot hold a grudge. You cannot, have any bad feelings. You have to release. You have to let go. Why? Because you got what you want. You see? Okay? But first, you have to implant this in your subconscious. You have to imprint it. Okay? And that was me telling my mom, I am not coming home till I'm a star. And my mom was like, she's like, this darn kid again, right? Okay. So anyway, so she goes, all right, but this was my mother's out, right? This was my mom going, all right, I get to get him out of the house. So it was a win-win. It worked for everybody, right? But here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to share this with you, okay? This is the inside. You have to be so adamant. You have to be so, right? Like that, okay? You have to be so, okay, into whatever it is you're doing, all into the commitment to the plan that God has no choice but to go, oh, okay, here you go. Boom, there you go. It had to happen. Why? Because I was adamant. Because I was all in. I was like, no, star. That's it, right? Now, let's put it in perspective, okay? Because the universal law of relativity tells us that everything is relative in its own context. And in the Hawaii context, what I had achieved is, so just Hawaii, what I had achieved was star, was popular. There's no celebrity there's local celebrities, which I became one in Hawaii, right? But there's no like famous in Hawaii. Okay? That doesn't happen. We're too small. Like it's like being a big fish in a very small pond, and I know people like that. Some of them are in my house, but what I'm saying is, well, my, where I live, where I come from. And so some of them are very big fish in small ponds. Okay. And so I became a big fish in a small pond, right? And that's not celebrity. Well, it could be popular, okay? It's not really famous. It's celebrity, but it's not famous. It's not like Hollywood. Anyway, so we have to put everything in its context for you. So now, how did this happen and when did this start? Well, this started around, I want to say, 9 years old, maybe 8 years old. No, maybe this went all the way back now that I think of it. Maybe this went back to like 5, 6, okay? Because I always had this sense of belonging. Now, I have a picture that exists, okay, that is it's online somewhere, okay? And it's a picture with me and my biological father, okay? Now, this is we can't even tell this story. It's too long a story to fit on this podcast, okay? Like the whole origin of me and stuff, but it's coming. Don't worry. Stay tuned. Anyway, but anyway, my biological father, right? There's a picture of me and him, and it's at my first my first birthday party, my baby party. That's what in Hawaii we call it, baby parties, right? It's to celebrate the first year because babies in Hawaii didn't always make the first year. So when a baby made 1 year old, right, in Hawaii, a year old, they would have this celebration. It's like, hey, you made it, that kind of thing. But anyway, my baby party, as I understand it, wasn't in Hawaii, okay, because I was born somewhere else. Okay, that's not a podcast. All right, you guys gotta come back for that one. Okay, I was born somewhere else. Okay, but here's the deal, right? In that picture, I'm 1 year old and I'm pointing, like just out there, right? And my dad's holding me. Okay, so I was working at this radio station one year, of my many radio stations that I worked at, right? And this psychic came, she was like this famous psychic from CBS TV. She was on a CBS news show. That's how important she was, or how psychic she was. She was very important. And she was like this celebrity psychic. And so they would actually have her track down people that did homicides and stuff, people who committed murders and whatever. So she would solve the thing. Like somehow she knew, okay? Now I know how this happens. It happens through the superconscious that we're all connected to, okay? Because under universal law, we are all one. That's the first universal law, okay? And anyway, we're not going to go through universal laws, but just reference it. Just go fact check me, okay? Now, so in that picture, right? And I had the picture on my desk. I was a production director at the time. And I had the picture, it was on my desk, and this lady psychic came in, and people were giving her things to hold, their watches, stuff like that, right? And I didn't have a watch at the time, and I think I asked her, I said, well, what do you need from me? And she goes, well, let me see that picture over there, right? Because she was standing in view of my desk, and I gave her the picture, and she looked at the picture, and she goes, you always knew who you were and where you're going. She goes, you are pointing in the picture to where you're going. And I'm like, wow, interesting, right? And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, it didn't really give me any answers, right? Because I thought she was going to say, you're going to be famous one day, or you're going to be notable one day, you're going to do something significant, because that was my mission. And I didn't know why I always felt like that. But I always felt like I was going to fulfill something, like I was going to do something, like I was going to be, I don't know, something, right? Everybody's something, right? Okay, but that's what I was feeling when I was little kid, small kid, tiny kid, 5 years old, okay? And I had this sense of, I don't know, I had a sense of being something. And I had no idea, okay? But anyway, in this, journey that I've been on, right? And it's been a very tough journey. In the way, not now, but it's always been a very tough journey, because I'm a master number in numerology. I'm an 11. Okay, now I have 11 master numbers in my numerology, which makes it double. Like, okay, you are going to suffer, but you're going to come out on the good end, right? Now, if you told somebody that, it's go, okay, you want to choose this life, they would probably go, no, that's okay. I'll go over here. I'll go here in the minimal, effort line over here. And so, but anyway, but I had this sense of belonging, right? So what does this have to do with the law of attraction? Okay, I'm going to tell you. I always had this sense in me that I'm going someplace. I didn't know where. Okay, and then as I got older,
right? Like elementary school, right? I performed with a ukulele in 4th grade, and everybody was like, "Wow!" Like, and I was terrible. I was terrible. I wasn't one of those gifted kids. I mean, I was the kid that thought he could. That, and okay, so now this is really funny. Go to 10 years old. Okay, now 10, 11 years old. I'm aware of music now. I'm aware that music is something I love. Okay, at 10 years old. Okay, I see Donny Osmond on TV. Donny Osmond. Okay, so and I loved Donny Osmond and the Osmonds. Okay, I came to love them later. But when I first saw Donny Osmond, I was like, wow, this dude's like 1 year older than me, right? And he was like getting all this fame, okay? And I was like, Ma, I can take him. I can take this guy, you know? So where I come from, we have that attitude, it's called KYSY. So I'm like, Mom, I can take this guy. And my mom's like, don't be silly. Like, okay, so, all right, there was that. Right? Don't be silly. And I'm like, okay, all right. But I kept telling my mom, take me to Hollywood. Like, I can do that. I can do what he's doing. They take me to Hollywood, put me on this show, whatever. When I was 10, I didn't know how anything worked, okay? I still don't know how things work. You know why? Because I'm not interested in things, okay? I'm interested in creation. I create. That's what I do. I create things. Okay, so I'm not interested in how your system works. I'm not interested in how the big system works. I'm not, although I've studied things, up now, but my general attitude, like I didn't care how the guitar worked, right? And I told God, I had this deal with God for my guitar, and I said, I just want to go as far as you will carry me. That's it. Like, I just want to, because like I said, I had all this pressure in my physical world. So I retreated into the mental realm, into the mental world, right? And I told God, look, just teach me how to do this. And I will just go as far. I'm not going to take lessons. I'm just going to trust and have faith. And it's just going to be me and you. We're going to be partners, you and I. And I knew nothing about co-creation. I knew nothing about that. But that was my attitude. Okay, I'm just going to do what you can show me, God, and that's it. And I'm still learning. Okay, I'm still learning. Okay, and some mornings I'm playing, for this girl online, or some mornings I'm just playing by myself, and and I come up with these progressions, and I go, wow, that's awesome. And that's how God teaches me. And this girl witnessed this. She listens to the podcast too, by the way. So Jay, if you're listening, but yeah, so she saw it happen. She saw that. She saw how I do it, right? And God gives me chords. God gives me chords. In other words, they just pop out of nowhere, and I just play these things, and I go, oh, this is interesting, and then boom, I do it again. And then I do it again, and I commit it to memory, and I move on. And that's how I've always learned. So I don't play a guitar like a guitar player. Okay, I kind of do. I kind of imitate it a little bit. Okay, but I have my own version of it. I have my own, there's nobody I play exactly like. Now, my teacher, this guy who I call Teach, okay, he was the guy that sat me down, and, we went maybe, I don't know what the total time was, but there were many occasions where he said, come here, let me show you. And I would sit down with him, and it was like a moment of I don't know what it was. It was like a moment of clarity. It was like a moment where the wise man comes out of the shadows, and he goes, okay, here are the secrets. And he goes, watch. And he goes, boom, 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 boom. He goes, you got that? And I go, he goes, all right, now go. But he was really nice, and he had a heart. He had a heart, and he spent time to show me stuff, right? And it was just a brief little thing, and I would bug him the next time I see him, show me this, show me that. And he would go later. But there was always that time that he would show me, and he would open up. Now, the other kids that I knew, the guys that were older than me, they couldn't be bothered with me. Right? I was such an irritant. I was, because it wasn't cool to hang out with a little kid, right? And I was younger than everybody, so it wasn't cool to hang out with me. It wasn't cool to share stuff with me. I just wasn't cool because I was younger, right? So we had this hierarchy kind of thing when I was young, right? So anyway, but he made time for me, and I consider him my teacher, and I play remotely. I mimic him, but I really don't play like anybody. I don't life coach like a life coach. So if you're here for the wisdom of the world, okay, I can give you my take on it. Okay, but I'm not a life coach. I don't life coach like a life coach. In other words, I don't follow the template. I don't follow the rules. I don't follow the commercial system. I don't follow the traditional ABC 1, 2, 3. No. That's not me. Okay. Now, I also don't perform like a performer. Okay, like I when I got to do my Waikiki show, I performed in jeans and a tuxedo. I wore a tuxedo in, right, and then I changed. In the first change, I changed into jeans, and people had a problem, a heart attack. I want to say some people had a heart attack because I was in jeans on the stage, and they were like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is my showroom. I paid for it. I'm going to do what I want. And oh yeah, you guys get to watch." And that was my attitude. And that's what we did. And we had fun and we entertained people. It was a successful show. And the rest, as they say, is history. Okay. But I didn't do the show like everybody does a show. Okay. I don't life coach like a life coach. Okay. I don't teach voice like a voice teacher. Okay. And I don't absorb knowledge like like someone in college. Okay, it's a little bit different with me. Okay, so but anyway, all right, I'm not flexing. I'm just saying I chose to be different. It was a choice. Okay, now attraction is a choice. The law of attraction is a choice. So you have to choose, right? You have to choose something. Now, be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for, because you know what? I get everything I wish for. Everything. Sometimes it comes to me, like I just choose something. Okay, like I chose this girl. Okay, this girl. I was like, wow, she's hot. And that was it. And guess what? She arrived. All I did was look at a picture and go, her. Yeah, that one. And then I just waited, okay, because that's what I know. Okay, so I know it sounds like what? You could just do that? Yeah. And I did that with everything I vision boarded. I vision boarded it and I go, okay, that one, God, that one. And guess what happened? It showed up. The most recent was a diamond watch, a Rolex diamond watch. And I said, that one. And then, boom, it came. Okay. But I'm not going to tell you the story of the watch. That's going to be another podcast. Okay. That's another podcast always. Okay. But I'm going to tell you how it happened. Okay. And it was totally manifested, like totally. And it popped out of years ago, but then it was better. Because years ago, it wasn't a diamond Rolex. It was just a Rolex. It was just a blue Submariner. Now I own a blue Submariner with diamonds on the outside. I mean, the bezel. Anyway, that's another podcast. Okay. But here's the thing I'm going to tell you, right? All you got to do is choose, but you have to stick to it and you have to put your heart and soul into it and go, yes, that one. And you commit. That's it. What are you committing to? You're committing to the decision. And all you have to do is say, that one. That's it. That's what I want. Now, here's the other side of that, okay? There's a back end to that. When you say that one, you have to deal with what comes with it. You have to deal with the way it comes, the way it arrives, the condition it's in, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. Okay? Because that diamond Rolex wasn't brand new because they don't make them like that. It was called a pimp Rolex, right? So it came, the blue Submariner came, but then when I saw it, I was like, whoa, that one has diamonds? Okay, let's do that. but that's another podcast. But I'm going to tell you guys. Okay. So anyway, so I just choose. You can choose. You can choose from the catalog of the universe. In other words, you can choose anything. Anything. But with knowledge comes responsibility. With choice, okay, with choice comes consequences. Okay, in other words, when you choose something, right, it's gonna come to you. It's gonna come the way God brings it. So what you do is you choose it, like when I said her, and God brought it in his own time. And pretty soon we were sitting in the park talking, and then pretty soon we were at her place talking, and then pretty soon. So, and so there's so many stories like this, like so many stories where I go, oh, she's married? Oh, okay. And I wait. I just wait, and pretty soon I get a call, hey, guess what? Hey, I got a divorce and, whatever. Okay. But stuff like that. Okay. So when you think that something's, so in other words, if you met somebody and she was married and you go, okay, cancel, she's married, and you cross her name off the list, okay, good, she's gone. There you go. You have received your reward. Okay. In other words, you have received what you've asked for. Okay. When I look at something and I go, okay, I'm looking at guitars right now, like very, very expensive guitars in my office. Okay. And I'm looking at it, right? And I go, wow, these were the things that when I was younger, I dreamed of. And I said, boy, if only I had that. If I only had one that looked like that. If I only had whatever. Okay. Now, I did not say like when I get that, I'm going to be happy. I did not say like when I get that, I'm going to be fulfilled. When I get that, I'm going to be, no. Okay, which brings me to a side avenue. Okay, here we go to the left, Hoynes. We're going to the left. Okay, warning, we're going to the left. All right, happiness and success are our choices. Okay, there are decisions, not rewards. Happiness isn't a result, it's a cause. Okay, happiness causes success. It's not the other way around. You've been taught things upside down and backwards. Okay, so many things. Okay, and don't even get me started on religion. Okay, don't even get me started. Right? Because, and it's not just one religion. Okay, it's religion in general. It's religions. Okay, it's not just one religion. It's not just one God. It's not just one. There's only one God. Okay, okay. Let me qualify that statement. There's only one God for me. Okay. Are there more than one God? Yeah, technically there is. And it's in the Bible. Okay. Although, okay, the Hebrews were henotheistic. That means you have a group of gods and they go, okay, we're going to worship that one. We're going to worship that one in the group. That one. Okay. But yes, there are a pantheon of gods. They just chose one. Okay, now I choose one. I have one that I've chosen, which happens to be the father of the one in the Bible, but they are related. Okay, so I worship the Most High God. And you go, okay, well, what is that? Well, okay, that's another podcast. Okay, that's not a podcast, but it's the Most High God in the Bible. Okay, it's not the God that everybody worships in the Bible in the Old Testament, though. No, it's above that. What? Wait. What? Are you saying there's a God above the God in the Old Testament of the Bible? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Now, some people say, well, no, this is the same God. It's just a different name, but it's the same God. Okay. Well, if it's the same God, why different name? Okay. But anyway, okay, different podcasts. Okay. Anyway, but there's this the Most High God. Okay. And it's not the God that everybody's, it's not the God that they selected in the Old Testament and say, okay, we're going to worship this guy. It's not that guy. It's a different God. Okay. It's that God's father. So it's in the same line. It's in the same, okay. It's not like It's not like, it's not, it's complicated. All right. It's for another podcast. All right. So, but when you make a decision, okay, when you commit to something, you go, I want that. All you have to do is believe. Ask, believe, receive. You don't know how she's going to come, okay? Or if she's going to arrive, if it's a her, because it's a person. Now, everybody has their own free will. They have free will. In other words, if she looks at you and she goes, ugh, like, okay, you're not going to get that, okay? And this is not necessarily about just, like people. It could be things, right? It's places, it's people, it's things, it's experiences. Okay, there was a time in my life where I go, I want to experience standing on the stage and everybody's there and they're all clapping for me. And then boom, I was in Waikiki one day. Boom, I was doing road shows one day. You can look it up, the Junior Kekuewa Junior Road Show on Facebook. Okay, the business has expired. We shut it down. But everything we did is there. Okay, my consulting company, VMAC Consultants, it's on Facebook. Everything we did is there. And on Instagram. Okay, so there's a digital record of everything I did. There's a digital record of all of the jingles that the majority of the jingles that I wrote on YouTube. Just search VMAC Consultants on YouTube. All of the jingles are there. Well, the majority of the jingles are there. Okay, so I had this thing about saving my work because talk is cheap. Okay, so it helps to have like some digital evidence, right? All right, so boom, there you go, right? And you can, and this is not necessarily a flex in the way that, I mean, it's kind of sort of a flex, like me telling you, yeah, I did this, but it's like to show you that you can do this too. Okay, I'm not a genius, I'm not exceptional. Okay, I just have faith. I believe. Okay, I'm a believer. Whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, either way, you're a believer. What are you believing? Subconscious thoughts. It's your subconscious. And whatever you impress, see, I was impressing on my subconscious years and years and years, like from some 5, 6 years old, right? 7 is when you are introduced to consciousness. 7 is when God goes, okay, you can be one of us now. At 7. Okay, but at 5 and 6, oh man, I was living a very grandiose life. Very grandiose life. And it was because of that life. It was because of choices my mother made that I got to live that life. And I was like, whoa. I'm like, it expanded my thinking. It expanded my range. Okay, so now, like, because I lived that life, because, right? Now I can go, okay, I want that. And when I say, that's my watch, like okay, back to the thing, sorry. I was walking past this billboard in Ala Moana Center in Hawaii. And it had this blue Submariner. And every time I'd walk back, and I'd walk by with my executive assistant, and we used to be talking about something, and walking past the billboard, and I would go, that's my watch. And we would just continue walking. So here's what you do, right? Check this out. Try this. But you have to be aware, okay? Your awareness has to be pretty sharp. Okay, choose something and just go, that's my whatever. Go to the dealership. Have the guts to go to a dealership, walk in the showroom, point to a brand new car and go, that's my car. But here's the thing, right? Make sure you want the car, okay? Don't go into a random showroom and don't do that, okay? Because you're going to be liable for the taxes, like for everything. But what I'm saying is I had to do that, okay? The first Mercedes that I had, I'm on my, third Mercedes? 1, 2, 3, something like that. I don't know. And that's not a flex. That's just, you can do it too. Okay, you can do it too. No, there's a price you have to pay for the Mercedes, right? Okay, so where's the money going to come from? That's another belief you have to install. The money will come. That's not your job. That's God's job. Your job is to choose and believe. Okay, God's job is the how. Okay, so when I got my first Mercedes, okay, I know we're going completely off track here, but I got to tell you that this is possible, and you have to try this because you're a human being. Okay, so when I my first thing, right, I went to the thing and saw the guy and talked to the guy about the car, the salesman at the, Mercedes and whatever, and we left after that afternoon. We left, and it seemed like the car that I wanted was the demo car. It had everything. It had double electric sunroofs. It had like it was tricked out to the max. It was tricked out, and it had it was fully loaded. Like it was so loaded. It was yeah. Anyway, there's a joke there somewhere. But so anyway, yeah. And so I drove back. I said, you know what? Because I had already been really good at manifesting by then. Okay. And what I'm talking about is subconscious. So I said, I need to drive by. I told my executive assistant, I need to drive by the place again. And so she came with me, got in the car in my Infiniti, right? And I drove by the Mercedes showroom and I pointed at that car. It was closed. It was at night. And I pointed at that car and I shouted with force. And I said, that's my car. Just like that. Just like that. Okay. Sorry if I hurt your ears. I had to show you. When you intend like that, when you allow that kind of force to choose, it goes directly in your subconscious. And you get what you ask for. But you have to declare it, you have to own it, and you have to you're subject to consequences. Okay, so every choice has a effect. Every action has a consequence or an effect. Okay, every choice you make. So yeah, there was this $1 million house, this $1 million mansion that I wanted, and it was a choice because I had to agree. I had to go, yeah, okay, let's do that. And then when I saw it, right, because the first I was introduced to the house via pictures. I didn't even see the house yet. When I saw the house, it scared me. When I saw the pictures, I went, that's my house. That's it. That's the one. I just said, that's the one. So, anyway, that's the way it works. That's how it is. I chose it. I said, that's the one. And I said, we got to go see the house. And it was during a rainstorm. It was storming. And I called the realtor and we went down in a storm, in a rainstorm, which is pretty good because we got to see how the hill behaved in a rainstorm. It was on the side of a hill, and it was a mansion, but it went straight up. It was like a tower. It was like a house built in the form of a condominium kind of thing. It was a 5-story house. So the garage was the first floor, right? And then it went 4 stories up. And the master bedroom opened into a valley. So when you opened the door, the master bedroom looked over a valley. It looked over everybody else's house. Okay, there's this one guy that lived up on the ridge. And I was always saying, okay, that's the next goal. I'm going to get up to the top of the hill. That's the next goal. All right, no, that wasn't the next goal. I had changed my mind. I changed my mind after that because I didn't want any more houses after that. So I live in a city now, in a 15-minute city actually. But so anyway, right? Just to get back on track with your manifestations. Okay, so you got to be happy first. Okay, so I was happy. I was happy when I went down to see the house. When I got in the house, I was afraid. Fear came over me for a few seconds, right? Because oh my God, look at this house. Like, marble floors, like all this. Like I was like, oh my God, like it had three bathrooms, and like everybody had their bathroom. There was it was 3 bedrooms, but it was a 3-bedroom huge house, right? And it went up. It went straight up, and it was a challenge. Like walking upstairs, that was a consequence. Okay, I had to walk up when I went to the master bedroom every day. I had to walk up 4 flights of stairs. Kept me healthy, kept my legs strong. Okay, but that was a consequence. You want the house, you got to do this. Okay, stuff like that I'm talking about. All right, let's get away from the house. Okay, so yeah, been in the $1 million mansion. Okay, lived there, been there, done that. Now we're aiming for the $5 million penthouse. Okay, I know which one. I have it in my mind. I see it every morning. Okay, $5 million penthouse. Okay, that's coming. That is coming because I chose it. I said, that's the one I want. That penthouse. I know specifically which one it is. Okay, it's not even on my vision board yet. It's not even because like I said, there's consequences, right? And I'm trying to imagine, like, okay, if I chose this $5 million penthouse, like, what am I gonna have to do? Like, okay, the first thing I'm gonna have to do is overcome my fear of heights, because that penthouse is like there's this hot tub, okay, and there's this it's amazing. Anyway, that's another podcast, okay? But I'm gonna tell you about that penthouse, and how it would scare me to death to be in that hot tub, okay? But that's where I'm being drawn to, and maybe it's to get over the fear of heights. I don't know. Okay. But anyway, all right. So I know this sounds crazy. Okay. To the average person, this sounds like, what? You do what? No, you choose. That's what you do. You go, okay, I want that. It's the catalog of the universe. Okay. Now it's not wrong to ask God for big stuff. Okay, but here's, like I said, be careful what you wish for. Okay, I chose that house. I lived in that house for 3 years. 3 years, I had to walk up and downstairs, like up, 4 flights. Okay, so I ended up, I was having people bring stuff upstairs, right? Can you get this? Can you get that? I mean, stuff like that. Okay, so there was that. All right, now, okay, so happiness, right? You got to be happy first. I was happy before I got the house. The house made me happy. Like the first, I don't know, I think it maybe lasted about a month, maybe 2 months before it became just a house. But yeah, there was this feeling. Yeah, you get this feeling. When you get the new car, when you get that first new car, yeah, it's a big deal. When I got my first new car, I was like, I didn't even know how to drive it, so to speak. I mean, that's the way I was looking at it. Like, what? And like I don't even know how to handle a new car. I don't even know how to, and I was just going for the ride, and God was showing me, okay, this is how you drive the car. It was a sports car. It was a fast car. And I was just kind of like being taught, because it was my wish. I was being taught, like, okay, here, this is what you do, and anyway, but I'm just saying there are, be careful what you wish for. I'm just going to say that, and there are things that I want to experience without owning. Okay, so consider this. You don't have to own it to use it. You don't have to own it to, okay? You don't have to. You don't have to own something. Get out of that ownership mentality. Okay, what if a corporation provided you a penthouse? What if you were doing business for a corporation and they had an investment property and they said, okay, you can live here. We'll sign the contract for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Would you do it? Of course you'd do it. I built a $4 million advertising machine that operated on trade. Okay, that's another podcast, but that's coming. Okay, but anyway, okay, so I'm giving you ideas because this is a law of attraction podcast. This is a I can bring anything into my world podcast. This is mindset. Okay, this is mindset. There is only the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. when they work synergistically together. In other words, when you make up your mind. When you make up your mind and your mind works with your heart. Okay, how does that work? Well, you got to believe, right? Believe in what you're doing. Believe that you're going to get it. Okay? It shows up. It shows up. When you desire what kind of wife you want, it shows up. And then you kind of go, "Ooh, I don't know if I want that." I don't know if I want that. You know? Okay? When you dream about the house you want to live in, okay? Be specific when you dream. Okay, I wasn't all that specific. I didn't count on all those stairs, okay? But the mansion showed up. It was like, boom, here you go. You want to live in a mansion? Boom, there you go. And it started on Instagram. It started by me looking at mansions on Instagram years ago and going, yeah, I could live in a mansion. Yeah, I want to live in a mansion. Okay, let's declare it. And then it showed up later. Okay, it showed up, but, so these things will show up, but you have to choose them. Now, let's say, for example, okay, it's something that takes a little working. God has to work out some things. Okay, maybe it's that scenario where she's married or he's married and you guys kind of like each other, or maybe it's okay with her or him. And then you go, wow, I wish I had that. And God has to go, okay, wait. Because maybe there's something you don't know with them going on in the background. And maybe you just have to be patient. And then one day she lets you know, oh, hey, just wanted to say hi. I'm experiencing my new life by myself. And then you're like, what? And she goes, yeah, I got a divorce. Ah, you see? And then you experience that. So you don't know what's going on behind the scenes in the background. And that's not your job. The how is God's job, and God will bring you what you want. You just have to say, okay, that's what I want. Okay, now this does not violate any spiritual laws, or it is a spiritual law. It has to happen. But it doesn't violate the Bible. It doesn't violate religion. Religion will tell you that you need to think like this, or you need to think this small, because you need to fit in this keyhole-sized door to heaven. Okay? And that's not true. That's not true. You are already in heaven. You create your heaven, you create your hell. When this is done, you have an opportunity to create again. Did you hear that? Okay, good. All right. You have an opportunity to create. Now, you may be creating on a lily pad as a frog, and you may be creating bubbles. Okay, but you will have the opportunity to create again. Okay, but while you have this one time as a human, you only live this way one time. You only have one experience like this. So while you have it, max it out. Come on, what are you waiting for? All this limited thinking, oh, I can't do this because I live in Hawaii, so I can't experience, blah, blah, blah. No, I made it come to me. There are some very famous people that all of a sudden showed up in my life, and I go, well, I'm just this kid from Hawaii. I'm just this kid in Hawaii. I'm just this dude in Hawaii. I'm just this guy in Hawaii. Hey, there's this guy in Hawaii. One of my commercials started out like that. And then my film clip rolled. But that's how it started. There's this guy in Hawaii, and then the music came on. And then clips of me started rolling. And then all of a sudden people were attracted. Okay? Because people were going, hey, there's that guy in Hawaii. See? So what I'm saying is, you have the opportunity to create for yourself. You have the opportunity to partner with God. You have the opportunity to say, I want that. But you got to take whatever comes with it. So if you're choosing, the Learjet, maybe it comes with a fuel bill. Maybe it comes with some repairs. Maybe it comes with some heavy maintenance. Okay, so maybe you just want to use the jet. Maybe you just want to use the car. Maybe you just want to lease the car. Maybe you just want to lease the property. Maybe you just want to, you see what I'm saying? Okay, so take ownership out of the equation. It'll free you up. It'll free your thinking. It's not so black and white. And I'll leave you with that. I gotta go, Hawaiians. I'm sorry, Hawaiians. I gotta go. All right, that was dramatic. All right. Okay, but no, seriously. Okay, you can live the life of your dreams. All you gotta do is make up your mind. It's mindset. Okay. I hope I gave you some good ideas. Hey, I want to thank VoiceMaster. VoiceMaster Family of Service Companies for their money to put on this program. Thank you so much. we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Also, Darren Chinen, AFM Hawaii Music at afmhawaiimusic.com. Till next time, I'm Junior Kekuewa Jr. saying mahalo and aloha.